足を見なさい。
So I saw this movie a few months ago, and let me tell you, it was pretty intense. Like it was very intense, you know. But I thought it was a very interesting, creepy, really well done movie. You know, you don't really see, at least I don't really see movies this intricate, you know, at least not this often. Soon after a stranger arrives in a little village, a mysterious sickness starts spreading. A policeman, drawn into the incident, is forced to solve the mystery in order to save his daughter. One of my favorite things about this movie is just the high level of detail, you know. And what I'm talking about specifically is the level of depth in each scene. You know, there's just multiple layers of things going on in certain parts of this movie. So, for example, there's a scene where the policemen are trying to deal with this woman, right? In the foreground, right? So in the background, you know, there's this burned building. There's medical personnel carrying someone out on a stretcher. There's these people in yellow suits, you know, searching through the building with flashlights. This is something that, you know, isn't really new, you know, as far as having multiple things happening in a scene. But I just found that, you know, I found it way more prevalent in movies that are from like the 90s and the early 2000s, you know. Specifically American, you know, police procedurals like Sea of Love with Al Pacino. So one of the biggest things I noticed in this movie, and you know, there's a lot of things I loved about it, but this is probably my favorite part about it was that there's this like overwhelming sense of like atmospheric like dread. You know, when you watch this movie, like there's a lot of scenes that feel like I'm watching it and I'm like I just I feel like I shouldn't be watching this. Look, it's creepy. You know, it is real deal creepy. You know, and I've seen some creepy movies, you know, in my day, you know, but not really like this. You know, it's not it doesn't have this same type of vibe. This is something different. A portion of this movie also happens in broad daylight as well, which, you know, I just don't see that happening too often with most creepy movies I've seen. One of the things I really loved about this movie were the visuals and specifically like the colors. You know, a lot of these scenes, there's all these natural kind of vibrant colors to them. And I thought it made the movie like even better because of that. Look at that, you know, like it still looks real. You know, it's not one of those kind of creepy horror movies where, you know, all the colors are washed out. Now, you know, most of the movie centers around the policeman and his daughter, who he's trying to kind of cure from this it's like an illness, or you could call it like an infection or almost like a possession, like some weird mixture of those things. So, you know, that's like part of the movie, but there's so many other like layers to this thing. And I just thought that's what made it so interesting to me, you know, is because there's just so many other things happening as well. Like the movie is it's just very like intricate and detailed. The Wailing is a very, very good movie. You know, it does have, you know, the subtitles, so, you know, but really, you know, it's not that bad. You know, like you'll get used to it after like 5 or 10 minutes, you know. But, you know, the movie, I'm not going to lie to you, it is very intense. Like some of the scenes may stay with you for a little bit, but I think it's still worth the watch. Like it is a very compelling, creepy movie, you know, so, it is intense though, just to give you a fair warning, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth a watch. So I highly recommend. It's very, very well done.